Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. In this video, I'm going to be giving you my preview for the upcoming match between the All Blacks and the Pumas that is taking place on Sunday. But if you do enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. But nonetheless, let's get right into this preview. Right, so a preview of all things is what is going to be in this video. Something that we haven't done in a little while on the channel, but it has been requested. So we are bringing the previews back for these Rugby Championship games. And boy, there are some good games coming up. I am going to be going through the starting lineups and reserves. Also looking through some stats, previous encounters, player stats, everything that is to do with these upcoming fixtures between the sides of the Rugby Championship. This match, we are talking about the All Blacks and the Pumas. The match is taking place 7:05 PM on Sunday, which is 4:05 AM in Argentina. So very early morning start for those of you in South America, but hopefully you will be getting up to watch this game, as it should be a very good one. But the All Blacks at this stage, they have only lost to Argentina once. That was last year in the 2020 Tri-Nations. They will not want that to happen again, but there's some interesting stats to do with this fixture, and I'm going to be going through them in just a short moment. First of all though, for those of you who haven't seen my lineups videos, I will put a link up in that little pin comment thingamabob. I think it's an info card, it might be an info card, but we will look through some of the changes that these sides have made compared to their last week's fixtures up against the Wallabies for the All Blacks and also South Africa for Argentina. So looking at the All Blacks starting lineup, they have made quite a few changes in this side. George Bower and Cody Taylor both out of the starting lineup, and instead now it is going to be Carl Tuanukiafi and it will be Asafa Amua getting an opportunity. Now he has been playing a little bit of the Bunnings NPC, the National Provincial Championship here in New Zealand for Wellington. Man, that man is a bulldozer. He just runs over anyone who tries to get in his way, and I feel like that is exactly why he is going to be thrown into that starting lineup. Not just because of the fact that Cody Taylor did get that head knock, but they could have gone with Samisoni Takiaho, but instead they're giving Amua the start because he is dangerous when he does get that ball in hand, and also can get some real good go forward, which I think is what the All Blacks will need in this match up against the Pumas. Looking through at the next change, it is going to be in the number 8 jersey now. Luke Jacobson is going to be starting this match. Artie Savia also taking that head knock last week, so he is not going to be playing in this game, which does mean now the captaincy does get handed over to the man in the number 4 jersey, Brodie Retallick. Now, it was going to be Beauden Barrett and Brodie Retallick last week as co-captains. This week, Brodie Retallick has been given the green light to be able to stand at the front of that huck, and how intimidating is that when you see old 2 meter Brodie just staring you down? That man is a very scary individual when he does get some pace going and a little bit of aggression, but he is definitely a good man to have leading the troops for this match up against the Pumas, who are always just showing so much of that raw heart and emotion out on the field. And that is what we have seen keep them in matches in the past. We saw it last year for the Tri-Nations. They had 2 draws up against the Wallabies, 1 win up against the All Blacks as well. Very well done from them, but in those first 2 games up against the Springboks, they just didn't seem to quite be able to get their rhythm going. And there will be quite an interesting stat that we talk about in a little moment, because the Springboks, they were able to shut down the Pumas quite well, but there were also a few stats where the Pumas were able to shine, just not on the amount of points that were scored per team per match in that case. But it is going to be an interesting stat to look at. Looking at the other changes for the All Blacks in that starting lineup, TJ Perenara going to be starting at 9 rather than Brad Weber, who did start last week. Like I mentioned in my lineups video, TJ Perenara, great cross kick to George Bridge, and I think that the real big combo here for this backline for the All Blacks is going to be Perenara and Beauden Barrett trying to link up, the old Hurricanes teammates. It's going to be awesome to see them get an opportunity together, because everyone expected Perenara to be starting the last match, the 3rd Bledisloe Cup Test match up against the Wallabies, but instead they decided to go with Brad Weber, who did have a decent game last week, but they have instead decided that TJ Perenara will get the nod with Brad Weber coming off the bench instead. Then looking through at the next change, it is going to be the number 11 jersey. George Bridge is starting this match for the All Blacks rather than Rieko Ioane, who was playing very well in that last match, and I thought maybe it was to do with maybe trying to rest him a little bit, but he is still going to be in that number 23 jersey for this match, so he is going to get a little bit of a late run round. And I mentioned in my lineups video that having him as a sub is a very useful tool to have, because of the fact he can play wing, he can play centre as well, and it really has that opportunity of being able to reshuffle, because when you think about it, they've got Damian McKenzie on the bench as well. That man covers fly half and also covers fullback, so you got every single position covered in that back line, which is why I think they went with Rieko Ioane rather than maybe a centre such as a Quintal Pire, who we haven't actually seen in this Rugby Championship so far. He will be waiting, and he would have possibly thought he was due for a run around because of the fact that there are so many changes for the All Blacks in terms of bringing in the new players who haven't had too many opportunities, but he will be sitting patiently waiting for his opportunity. And I feel like it could be next week, if I am being honest. I think he will get a run round very soon alongside maybe Ethan de Groot, another man who hasn't had too many opportunities so far in the Rugby Championship. Originally got released from the squad, so he was going to be playing for Southland in the Bunnings MVC, but instead now it does mean that he is back in that squad. He was a little bit of injury cover for Ofa Tongafasi and Joe Moody originally, who was also returning in this match. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm on the bench already, but there is still one other change in that starting lineup, and that is Sever Reese out on the right wing. No Will Jordan, which I assume has to be either injury or strategy, because there is no way you leave that man out of a starting lineup the way that he is going at the moment. Will Jordan definitely not off the bench as well, because he is scoring tries for fun any game that he does play. And tell you what, big assist though last week from Akira Ioane, but Will Jordan still able to find his way over the try line and keep that strike rate going. He has got an incredible strike rate at the moment. I believe it's something along the lines of 7 matches, 11 tries, or something ridiculous like that, which is absolutely insane. And I think he could be a threat in the upcoming games of the Rugby Championship. I've seen that maybe people are saying that the Springboks will be able to shut him down, but I think it is easier said than done. Will Jordan is a very talented player. He's deceptively fast, like he's quick. Everyone knows he's quick. But then he's even quicker than that. He just keeps on running. He's got such an effortless running style that just makes him propel himself like he's a bloody cheetah, and he will keep on going at the line every opportunity that he gets, Will Jordan. And that is why watching him go up against a Makazole Mapimpi or someone like that will be absolutely awesome in one of those Springboks matches. But that is the starting lineup for the All Blacks. Now we look at the changes on the reserves bench, and like I mentioned a little bit earlier, there is Joe Moody in that number 17 jersey. Thought maybe George Bauer or Ethan de Groot would get the opportunity, as I didn't realise Joe Moody was going to be back so soon, but he is back. He is ready to go, and we will have to wait and see how he slots back into the All Blacks after having such a long injury. Got injured at the start of Super Rugby Aotearoa, I believe it was, alongside Jack Goodhue also getting injured in that same game. He must be not too far away. He hasn't got a mullet though, so that is one of those things that might be his little bit of a downfall, because at the moment anyone who's got a mullet for the All Blacks has about double the chance of scoring than those players who don't, and that is actually a stat that has happened at the moment for the All Blacks. That is how you know that maybe you need to get your head cut in the shape of that mullet. But at this stage, it does mean that he is not going to be returning just yet, Jack Goodhue. But when he does, there is certainly going to be some competition in that midfield with the way that Havili and Anton Leonard-Brown is now playing after returning from injury. Looking at the other changes on the bench, Tyrell Lomax going to be starting at 18, and I actually predicted this one. I'm very happy with myself in that regard, because no one thought Tyrell Lomax was going to be playing. The fellow who I was doing the predictions against said there is no way that they are playing Tyrell Lomax at 18. Tarval has got that spot locked down, but Ian Foster, he decided that maybe giving some of these other players a run round would be a good idea in this first game up against the Pumas. I think the All Blacks are quietly confident, but you can never count out the Pumas. Definitely not after what happened last year. They were able to beat Wales as well earlier in the year in the July internationals, but that was up against a Wales side that are a little bit different to the All Blacks, the Springboks, and the Wallabies. Tell you what, those games in a couple of weeks' time between the Wallabies and the Pumas are going to be absolutely awesome, because we didn't get to see anyone win a match last year between those two sides. 2 draws. The chances of that are just unheard of, but it happened. So now we're going to have to wait and see. Tell you what, if they did 2 draws in a row, once again, I would absolutely just be speechless, which is pretty hard to do when, definitely because it is late at night at the moment, we are sitting at 1 a.m, but absolutely love me a preview, and I absolutely love this fixture that has taken place between the All Blacks and the Pumas. The passion from the Pumas, you've either got it or you don't when it comes to that passion in the heart, and the Pumas certainly have that. They showed that fighting spirit in the later stages of the match up against the Springboks when they were able to score that 86th minute try of Pablo Matera. I've also got a fun stat on him, and it is the fact that he has been able to score 3 tries in his last 4 test matches, and that actually matches the 32 tests prior that he did have, that he was able to get the same amount of 4 tries, but a stat there, he has never been able to score a try up against the All Blacks. Perhaps this weekend, when it does take place at Seabus Stadium, could be the perfect opportunity for Pablo Matera to get over the line up against some of those players he will get a little bit more familiar with next year for Super Rugby Pacific. He has signed with the Crusaders, so the likes of that backline of Havili, also Sever Reese, George Bridge, everyone along those lines, he will probably end up getting very familiar with them as we head into that Super Rugby Pacific competition, but I am very excited for that one as well. That one is only around 6 months away, which is going to fly by. Have a feeling 2 years till the World Cup as well. Who would have thought that we would already be at this stage of being halfway there, as the song by Bon Jovi says. But at this stage now, I'm over halfway through the All Blacks starting lineup and I am still absolutely rambling because I am buzzing about this match. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Then the next change for the All Blacks is going to be 21, and that is Brad Weber, like I mentioned a little bit earlier on. Perenara going to be starting the match. 22 still Damian McKenzie, and then 23 it is going to be Rico Ioane, who will get a late opportunity in this match. So that is the lineup for the All Blacks. Now looking at the Pumas, and I have to say, it is very unfortunate for the Pumas that they did lose Facundo Eza as early as they did in the Rugby Championship, because he is an absolutely phenomenal player. And it is a big shame that he did get injured, because he would have been one of those players who would just keep on hitting the ball up, keep on making physical tackles on the All Blacks to try and put them on the back foot. That is something that Argentina need to use to their advantage early on in this match. They need to make sure that they put pressure on the All Blacks in the breakdown, really force them to either give away those penalties that we have seen in earlier games of the Rugby Championship. Not so much in the recent games for the All Blacks. They have actually been pretty good with the discipline overall, but they did leak a lot of penalties up against the likes of Tonga, Fiji, and also I believe in that first game up against the Wallabies, but then they cut it pretty much in half for those next ones. But Argentina, they've got that physicality in the forward pack. The loose forwards, Pablo Matera. Then at number 7, you've got Marcos Crema, who is a very dangerous player indeed, and then Rodrigo Bruni at number 8. But then saying that, something that Argentina need to be careful with is that discipline. They've been giving away quite a few penalties recently as well. Now in the last 6 test matches, they have actually given away 6 yellow cards and 1 red card. And in the 25 test prior, they had only given away 1 yellow and 1 red, so they are giving away a few more penalties. They are getting penalised for them, and they will have to be careful not to end up getting penalised too hard, because or else then you get into that situation of the yellow card or red card coming out, and then the All Blacks, we know what they can do when they have got 15 on 15, but when you give them the opportunity of being 15 on 14, that is when the points can really start flying for the All Blacks, and they have been scoring a lot of them in this Rugby Championship. At the moment, sitting on 10 points, they have received a bonus point for 3 tries or more than their opponent in both of the first 2 fixtures up against the Wallabies. The first game they did win 57 points to 22, and then the second game they won 38 points to 21. So 2 high scoring ones for the All Blacks. They are averaging a lot of points, averaging a lot of tries as well. I believe in those 2 matches they have actually scored 14 tries, and in the first 2 matches for Argentina they have scored 1. And that was the try of Pablo Matera in the 86th minute, like I mentioned a little bit earlier on. So the All Blacks, they will still be going for as many bonus points as they can to try and give themselves a little bit of a lead going into those later rounds, because they have to face the Springboks twice at the end of this competition, and those games could determine who is going to be the Rugby Championship 2021 competition winners. So they need to be careful that they don't leave it too late for the All Blacks to be able to get those points. So this is why that this match is important for Argentina, to really try and shut down the All Blacks' momentum that they have been able to build up against the Wallabies. But saying that, they have still leaked a few tries, the All Blacks, up against the Wallabies. I believe it is still 6 tries that they have allowed the Wallabies to score in these 2 matches, so they'll have to be a little bit careful with Argentina, because that backline is looking pretty decent for them. They have got the likes of Nicolas Sanchez, who is actually the player who was able to score all 25 points for Argentina in that match when they did win 25 points to 15 last year for the Tri-Nations. Him partnered with Bertrand, who is going to be starting at 9, is a very nice combo, very quick, very dynamic, and they will be really hoping to set up the fellas on the outside, including this man in the number 12 jersey, Geronimo Della Fuente. Now, I believe, if I'm not wrong, he had 1 carry in the last match up against the Springboks, which is an absolutely almost incredible number that he touched the ball so little, but the ball just didn't seem to go out to him. There was a few opportunities for the men outside him, but overall, just didn't really touch the ball. Whereas you look at a David Havili for the All Blacks in the last match, he had 7 carries, 2 defenders beaten, and he was also able to score 2 tries, had quite a few running meters as well. So there is a little bit of a difference there, but it just depends on who they are going to be targeting. Nicolas Sanchez has a very good kicking game. Maybe they even try and bring out a 50-22 every once in a while, try and keep the All Blacks on that little bit of the back foot, but then you got to make sure it finds the touchline, or else the All Blacks, they will be able to counter-attack. We've seen it quite a few times that even if you give them an inch, they will take a mile and they will run straight to the try line. Definitely with Beauden Barrett starting at 10, he looked like last match he was willing to go for the little chip, little grubber in behind, if it did mean that it could open up the opportunities for the men on the outside, and that is exactly what it did. We saw the first try of the match as well was just beautifully set up by the All Blacks. I believe it was Beauden Barrett, little chip, then went to Will Jordan, gave it to Brad Weber, passed it on, and Geordie Barrett was able to score the try. He is actually playing this match as well, Geordie Barrett. I think a lot of people thought he was going to be suspended because of that red card that he did receive last week for hitting Marika Korombedi in the face with his boot, but it was in the end said that it wasn't intentional and it wasn't worthy of a suspension. So that one really split the rugby community as well, of whether or not it should have been a red or whether or not it should have been a suspension, I think, was the more kind of thing that people were getting at. But at this stage, Jordie Barrett is able to play, and they have once again given him that starting jersey because of the fact he did actually pretty well in that starting jersey for the All Blacks for that short amount of time he was on the field up until that red card. And then from there, Damian McKenzie, the mullet man, did get to replace him. The Clutch King, I think, is more the nickname. I don't think I've heard anyone call him the mullet man McKenzie, but yeah, I don't think that's going to catch on anytime soon. But now I will move on to a few of the player stats that I did mention at the start of this video, starting with one man. And I feel like this is a man to watch out for. Akira Ioane, last match, 88 metres carried, 9 defenders beaten, 3 clean breaks. And he didn't actually score a try, but he did set up 2. Akira Ioane was on fire anytime that ball was in his hands, and because of it, he has been rewarded with that number 6 jersey, not just for this week, but I feel like he has secured it for a little while now. Akira Ioane having a very good game. Rieko Ioane also ticking up over 100 running metres, and he didn't actually get a try either. So both Ioane brothers almost bringing up 200 metres carried between them, but neither of them scoring themselves a try, which just shows that their game has come a long way. Akira Ioane very much so working on that passing game, and it has been paying off. And like I said, he is going to be in that starting lineup for possibly quite a while in the future. David Havili also having 90 metres carry, was able to score 2 tries, like I mentioned in that last match up against the Wallabies, where they were able to get that bonus point, which is something that they will be chasing in this game as well. But I know that the Pumas defence, when it needs to be, can be very strong. So they will have to make sure that they keep that going in this game up against the All Blacks, or else if the All Blacks get a little bit of early momentum, I can see the game starting to run away in their favour. But if the Pumas can start this match extremely well and get themselves a couple penalties over, get a little bit of early scoreboard pressure on the All Blacks as well, I think that is the best case scenario for the Pumas to be able to really just try and slow down the All Blacks, because we know the last 20 minutes is normally their bread and butter. I mean, when you've got the likes of Damian McKenzie and Rieko Ioane as your 2 replacement backs, it kind of makes it very tough to be able to slow that side down once they do start to get that momentum. So it will be interesting to see how late Ian Foster leaves it before he decides to go to his bench, when he can unleash Mr. Mullet Man himself and also Rieko Ioane. I can't even say that with a straight face. The Rieko Ioane part I can, not really Mullet Man McKenzie, that is for sure. Now, while we are mentioning stats from the All Blacks, I feel like we've got to mention David Havili once again. It is to do with the tackling, and he was able to make 14 tackles, 1 turnover 1. Anton Lent-Brown next to him making 9 tackles with 1 turnover 1 as well. So they were very strong in that midfield combo, and I feel like if they can do that same thing up against the likes of the man who I did mention a little bit earlier on, Geronimo Della Fluente, and then also next to him it is going to be Matthias Moroni. So if they can shut them down like they did up against the Wallabies, I think that is where the All Blacks will really get themselves not only the turnovers for the penalties, but also the opportunity for, if they rip that ball away, you got the fast break, and then you have got the likes of Severis and George Bridge out on either wing, with also Jordie Barrett maybe deciding to join that line if he does get the opportunity. But now looking through some stats, I am actually going to have to look at them, because there were 13 tackles for Scott Barrett, 12 tackles for Brodie Retallick, 10 for Akira Ioane, 10 for Dalton Papali'i, and 10 for Beauden Barrett in that last match for the All Blacks up against the Wallabies. Now looking through some of the Pumas tackling stats, it was 13 tackles made by, in the end, Matthias Alemano, also 11 made by Pablo Matera, and then 10 made by Julian Montoya. And there's an interesting stat based around that man as well. I'm bringing out all the stats today, and that stat is that Julian Montoya has made the most tackles in the Rugby Championship without missing a single one yet. He has made 23 from 23 tackles, and he actually has the 3rd most amount of tackles made in the Rugby Championship, and the fact that that man still has not missed a tackle is just absolutely awesome for him. And if he can make sure that he does throw every line out straight in this match as well, he will be on fire, and maybe even a rolling maul try could be coming the way of Argentina. We're seeing that the All Blacks, they are decent at defending it, but if Argentina really get those big forwards behind it and can kind of maneuver their way from in the corner, maybe they get themselves a try. But the big question there would be, would they go for that opportunity, Argentina, or would they go with Nicolas Sanchez to be able to kick over the 3, which would be probably the safer option. But it is always said that you cannot win games against the All Blacks with just penalties. You need to make sure you're scoring some tries as well. I know that last year there was an exception to that, and that was the match between Argentina and the All Blacks, where they were able to get that win with only the 1 try of Nicolas Sanchez in that one. The rest were all from penalties. They actually got 18 points from penalties in that last game up against the All Blacks. So I guess that statement is kind of revoked in that example, but other than that, it is very tough to beat the All Blacks when you just get those penalties. Right, so I'm quickly just going to rattle off a few stats in terms of the form of these two sides. It's quite an interesting one though, when you do hear Argentina's compared to the All Blacks, because from the stats, you would say that they haven't actually done too badly in their first 2 games up against the Springboks. It is just a case of the Springboks making the most of their opportunities when they do have those penalties come in thick and fast like it was in the last match. I believe there were about 21 penalties against the Pumas in that last match. But looking through some of these stats, the All Blacks have had 1,229 metres carried compared to the 667 of Argentina. That is not one of the stats that I was talking about. That is an interesting one. Clean breaks 29 for the 6 of Argentina, 7.23 average gain compared to the 3.15 of Argentina. But this one is an interesting stat here. Defenders beaten 40 for the All Blacks, 31 for Argentina. So they've actually been able to beat quite a few defenders, and normally South Africa are very solid with their tackling. As we know, they don't let too many tries in, and even with those 31 defenders beaten, they were only able to cross the try line once in those 2 matches up against the Springboks in the earlier weeks of the Rugby Championship. Another one that is an interesting stat is the fact that 17 offloads for the All Blacks, 14 for Argentina. So they are willing to throw that ball around, try and find an opportunity to be able to break through and beat one of those defenders and try and find their way to the try line. So that is about as far as I think I should go, because I think I've been talking for probably over 20 minutes at this stage about this match. As you guys can probably tell, I'm extremely excited about it. Hope you guys are as well. Do let me know if this preview is a little bit too long or whether or not I should keep going. I guess it just depends on what you guys think. Do let me know your score predictions in the comments below. Also, if you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and leave a like. We are going to be doing our watch along live stream for the match, like I mentioned, 7:05 p.m. on Sunday New Zealand time. It will be kicking off at 9:05 a.m. South African time, and also kicking off at 4:05 a.m. Argentinian time. So it is a little bit more early for those fellas over in Argentina, but hopefully you guys will be tuning in as well for that watch along live stream that we will be doing on the channel. And nonetheless, I do appreciate every single one of you for being here. Like I mentioned, if you are new, be sure to hit that like button and hit that subscribe, and I will see you all for the next one.